we think about cutting communications, cyber attack is dealing with the software. This is very different. I can think about anything parallel to it that at the same time dealing with communication, but as you say, so many people have been either killed or badly injured. So this is beyond the communication side, but also an attack on Hezbollah personnel. What I can tell you for what I've seen here in the days that I'm here, I've been to the border with Lebanon, seen it's empty, and it's a certain thing. Analysts here and people, officials will tell you that regardless what happens, Hezbollah is winning the war if 60,000 people can't return to their homes.
Lebanon has been struck by a wave of attacks using exploding walkie-talkies. At least 20 people are now known to have been killed and more than 400 injured. It comes the day after exploding pagers killed 12 people, including 2 children, and left almost 3,000 in hospital. Multiple sources have said they believe that Mossad, the Israeli spy agency, is targeting Hezbollah fighters. Israel declined to comment. But the country's defence minister, Yoav Gallant, says the country is opening a new phase in the war.
I appreciate that we are at the beginning of a new era in this war and we need to adapt ourselves. This is true for everyone, certainly for those who are in the air or control what is in the air, because the position here is stronger. It is not Hamas, it is something else, and we need to prepare for this matter properly, take that into account. We need consistency over time. This war requires great courage, determination and perseverance.
Well, Professor Yossi Mekelberg is an Associate Fellow with the Middle East and North Africa Programme at Chatham House, and he's in Israel tonight. He told me what he made of the latest attacks.
I mean, there is something that obviously was planned and in a way to disturb the communication, mainly probably this almost destroy the communication within the Hezbollah. And Hezbollah avoided using mobile phones for quite a while because it's easier to detect. Pagers and most walkie-talkies are more difficult because they mainly, especially pagers, receive but not transmit. And someone planned it probably for quite some time and looked for the right time to explode them all together. The question is, if this is the first phase of something, from the side they did it, and what's going to be, because according to Hezbollah and most analysts, Israel was behind it, whether Hezbollah is going to retaliate. Can it, with all these communications, can it retaliate? How and when?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to pick up on there. First of all, I mean, this didn't just target communications, did it? We've had at least 14 people killed today, at least 12 killed yesterday in the pager attacks. Thousands have been left injured across Lebanon. And we've had Israel's defense minister talking about a new phase of the war. What do you think he means by that?
So I think we, again, unpack it. You're absolutely right. I think usually when we think about cutting communications, cyber attack is dealing with the software. This is very different. I can think about anything parallel to it that at the same time dealing with communication, but as you say, so many people have been either killed or badly injured. So this is beyond the communication side, but also an attack on Hezbollah personnel. What I can tell you for what I've seen here in the days that I'm here, I've been to the border with Lebanon, seen it's empty, and it's a certain thing. Analysts here and people, officials will tell you that regardless what happens, Hezbollah is winning the war if 60,000 people can't return to their homes. And this is unsustainable for a government that's almost for a year, part of the population is actually displaced within its own country, in hotels and in other places. So I think got the point they decided to shift the focus from Gaza. It doesn't mean it won't continue there as well, the war, but focus more on the northern border and eventually, depends how it all goes, that's enabling the citizens, the residents of the north, to return to their homes.
So are you in no doubt that Israel was behind these two attacks, the walkie-talkie explosions today, the pager explosions yesterday?
Well, I have to believe what I read. And you have also, sometimes when you look at covert operations, you are saying who is the motive and who is the capability. And the United States said it's not behind it. So, I mean, the list is very, very limited. To who is the motivation, who is the capability. So, yes, I think this is, regardless if it is or it is not, this is the working assumption from now on. We're working on this working assumption that Israel was behind it.
And do you think that these attacks over the last 2 days are the start of a further really big offensive by Israeli forces to perhaps go into southern Lebanon to do more to destroy the Hezbollah network?
I think this is the big question. What is the signal to Hezbollah? We know how to hurt you. We have different methods. You were caught by surprise, so let's de-escalate it. Or this is the first phase of something bigger. Try to push the Hezbollah north up to the Litani River, for instance, and creating, at least for a while, a security zone. The fact is that there is a debate here. Now, one of the things that one observes when look at the way that Israel operates, they are very good in this kind of covert operations and improvisation, but at the same time, you ask yourself whether there is a strategic plan in mind. And I'm not so sure, but it might be just the case. But we need to take also account whether there is the major powers behind Israel, how the Hezbollah is going to react to this. Those are all still unknowns.
Yeah, of course, Hezbollah has the backing of Iran. How concerned are you about the risk of a further escalation across the region?
I think it exists for 11 months now, and every time that the situation escalates, it brings us closer to a full-scale war. I don't think Iran would like to initiate or to be involved in a full scale, because a war, it knows the consequences of that, and this will dive into it. We saw in April when Iran launched missiles and drones in Israel, then the US, the UK, France, even Jordan and other countries in the region came to the help of Israel, and this will definitely will drag into such a war other countries. But I think always the danger in this situation that's so volatile, so fragile, that something might drag them into such a war. That's the danger. It's actually the miscalculation more than the calculation.
And how have these attacks affected the mood in Israel? We've seen, once again recently, big demonstrations against Benjamin Netanyahu because of his handling of the conflict in Gaza, his failure to bring home the hostages and so on. How do you think these attacks will be seen by people there in Israel?
I think it's quite confusing, the mood here. On the one hand, people are tired of the war. They're really concerned about the hostages. They don't trust the prime minister and his government. But at the same time, there is real resolve, to defend the country. You meet people that spend 6 to 8 months in reserve service. Just imagine, the implication to them and to their families. Only yesterday, 4 soldiers were killed in Gaza. So yes, there are mixed feelings, but I think specifically about this kind of operations, I think there is full support in this, and trying to, because of the situation, the circumstances with so many people are displaced within their own country. I think most of the public want to see this situation comes to an end.
Well, that was Professor Yossi Mekelberg, Associate Fellow with the Middle East and North Africa Programme at Chatham House, speaking to me from Israel earlier this evening. And for all the latest developments from the Middle East, just go to thetimes.com and there's lots of updates, live pages giving you all the latest developments and remarks as they come in.